intellectual property is it's a set of legal tools that can be used to claim property to what we call intangible assets or intellectual assets, which means research results, basically. So it's a way of, by claiming the ownership, then we can decide who has the right to use it. And that can be used to, of course, license to companies, but it can also be used to give away for free to communities using open source. And it can is also, but it's a very important tool because it gives you the power to decide who is using it. The value still lies in the intellectual assets or the value proposition from that. And I would say, which I think often is a misunderstanding, that there's value in intellectual property, but it's not the intellectual property that is the value. Intellectual property is a cost. No, it's something that costs money. Often, some intellectual properties are free to file, but there's always a cost connected to claiming intellectual property. So a little bit based on what I just said. So it's not so much maybe on the intellectual property, because the intellectual property it's only a tool to claim ownership to the intangible assets. So our strategy is to try to get more of those assets. We need to have more assets and better assets. We need to have volumes, because many ideas fail. You maybe have heard this, like, fail fast, succeed sooner, because you need volume based on, if I've looked at and I've visited many universities around, especially Europe, and it's a lot about volume. It's a funnel. You get a lot of ideas, and you will have some that have really big impact, and some might even be good for the university in the way that they create revenue. So our focus is to work with value propositions more than intellectual property, and again see intellectual property just as a tool to claim ownership to those value propositions, which allows us then to license, to create spin-outs. If the spin-outs have IP, it's easier for the spin-out to get financing, because the investors, they like IP, because it means that you have a sustainable advantage over others. Others cannot use this. If everyone can use it, it's not so interesting for an investor. So I think we try to work in three ways. One is to the push, and there are two ways to push, is that when we get research results, try to find someone to license. This is based on global experience from universities, the most difficult one. Because if the researchers have done something in the lab, that there is someone out there in industry that really wants that is difficult. And for us it's extra difficult because we don't have the funding to file for international patents. So we often only have a Thai patent, and because the Thai patent process is very slow, we even only have a patent application, and it's very difficult to license patent applications because we don't know if they will be granted. So it is difficult. The most difficult one is licensing, and this is why most universities around the world then opt for spin-outs. So that's another way of utilizing it, because if there's not an existing entity out there that wants this, maybe we have to create a new vehicle to at least bring this innovation to a certain level, so it gets interesting for the market. And there we work a lot with the incubator here also at Technopolis. So the incubator is also a very important function to get impact from our research. And the third one, which is maybe the most easy one, is contract research. Because contract research means that the customer come to us, the industry come to us, they have a problem. We help them solve the problem, they pay us. That is the most easy, low-hanging fruit, because you already have a customer. The most difficult one is licensing, because the researcher come with results to us. They haven't thought about who will use it. They haven't thought about the customer. It's changing because researchers are getting better at understanding the market and customers and etc. But it is still the most difficult one. And again, so we try to create spin-outs. But the challenge with that is, of course, to get researchers involved in spin-outs. Who should be the entrepreneur? So there are many questions that we can add to that. Of course, we can help support, and I think traditionally the IP office, or now it's called Innovation Intellectual Property Management Division, is to help researchers file patents. And because I think in Thailand we have this that the research funding agencies, they often see as an outcome from the funding that there's articles published and that there are patents filed. So this has created a lot of patents. We have a huge patent portfolio or patent application portfolio. It's not so valuable because the underlying innovations, assets are not valuable. So traditionally we have had this service of helping to file a patent. We get a request, file this patent for me because I have promised the funding agency that I will file a patent. We're trying to get away from that, but of course still we can do it, and there are other reasons that we need to file patents, because also for university rankings, etc., it is still important to actually file patents. So we have the service of filing patents in Thailand and registering a copyright, which is quite a straightforward process. It's not necessary to register copyright, but sometimes it's good to actually to do it. So these are services that we have, and we do this to some extent, and we also want to do it more for the local community around Korat, because this is a capacity that it's missing in Thailand, and especially in Korat. I don't think there is any IP firm in Korat. So if we can help especially medium-sized companies, small and medium-sized companies in Korat to file patents, to get better at working with IP. We are happy to support with that as well. And we also work with other universities in Isan to try to strengthen them in this capacity. There are many different factors that impact this that we cannot really control, but I would like us to be able to focus on fewer patents, to get more disclosures, because one thing we have an issue with today is that actually some of our best researchers, they don't disclose to us. And I think they actually have ideas that are really good, but they don't come to us. And I think it's also because traditionally maybe we haven't been able to give the service that they expect. They feel like we're just filing a patent in Thailand and that's it. So an important part is that we also need more financial resources, so we actually can file patents outside Thailand. Because if we really want to have impact, we need to have patents beyond Thailand. Today we file patents in Thailand, and it's almost like shooting yourself in the foot, because it means that Thai companies need to pay a license fee to use the technology. But everyone in the rest of the world, which means 99% of the world's population and more than 99% of the world market, they can use it for free, because a patent is only valid in the country where you actually file the patent. So for a few inventions, it's not many, but a few inventions per year, I would like us to be able to file like patents outside. Because that first thing is that we actually can create impact, and it's also like it potentially, those should be the really good inventions that also can create revenues. It's difficult, but the potential is there. But that is combined with that the university, but also like the Thai government has a more long-term vision. Today I think we're trying to it's quick results. Like, yeah, we have to get this, we have to get inventions within, like, have global impact within 3 years. It doesn't happen. When I worked in Sweden, we had, especially for deep tech, I worked with one startup. They took them 12 years before they had the first sale. So it takes time when you work with deep tech, especially when you start already at the research level, to have a long-term perspective. And I also really hope that we get the holding company structure working, because I think it's a very important tool to be able to exchange licensing fees, for example, or royalties with being owners in a spin-out. Because we share the risk, but we also don't take away money. Because the challenge, when you're licensing to someone, especially if it's a university spin-out, if I say you have to pay 1 million baht upfront, it actually means I take money that they could use to develop the technology. I take money that they could use to go to the market, and instead we put it into the university. It's not very smart. So to be able to have this long-term support of especially university spin-outs, a holding company is one very important part of a more long-term vision. So more focused, long-term perspective, international perspective, filing patents outside Thailand, and combining that with with a holding company, it is important. Most successful universities around the world have There are different kind of setups, but they have some kind of structure that can partake in the utilization of the research results that is separated from the university. Because university is, as you know, a bureaucratic structure. Some things take very long time. And when you're talking to business, it cannot take that long time. It's not okay if it takes 6 months before we have had all the papers and stamps all the way up to the university council and all the way down, and then halfway down something happens and it has to go back again. No, then business, they lose interest if it takes too long time. So we need to have a more flexible structure that will need to be well governed, of course, but that can act faster. Don't do it, it's too hard. No, of course not. It is hard, it is not easy, but it's also very rewarding. When I meet and talk to researchers in Europe that have been part of these kinds of processes, the value that you see, even if it's hard in the beginning, the value that you get by being involved is that it actually helps you align your research with the market. And most researchers actually want impact. No? That's why they're researchers. They want a better society. And a better society is not necessarily created by publishing articles. No? It doesn't create impact. I'm sorry to say, but most of those articles are not read. They're only read by other people that want to make a reference to that article. But actually, if you create products or services, your research will have impact in society. And again, it's a hard journey, but once you do it, it also gives back. First thing, as I said already, that you actually get feedback from what does the market and people actually want, so that you get impact. The other is that you actually get often financial resources. So when you are involved in the spin-out, that spin-out realizes that the market, this is what the market needs. They can attract funding. That funding goes back to the university through contract research that can then add more funding, so we actually can do more research. It means that most of the researchers that are involved in creating value outside, they stay at the university. Some are involved as a CTO, which is very popular in Thailand now, from the government. Some are involved as a CTO. Others take even more back position. They are more of a coach, or they are still the researcher, but they stay at the university doing the research. And then we have people that actually run the business, the entrepreneurs, and that doesn't need to be the researcher. It can be other people, which is something we really need to develop in Thailand as well, the skills of people. So, which for example, SEDA is working a lot with trying to develop the skills of those people that actually can help us bring our researchers' results to the market. So please do it. And I think to come to us at iiPM is one place to do it. We should maybe be generally the first office to come to. Come to us and talk. Don't disclose IP to us and talk to us about the ideas that you have, the problems that you see, the problems that you want to solve, and then whether that leads us to contract research, a spin-out, to licensing, if we should file a patent or not. We can actually help to make that decision, how to move forward. We can direct to SEDA if that is the place, to the incubator if that is the place, to get this further. But please do it, and please please come to us as one of those places where you can be inspired and get input, so we can take this further. Because Thailand needs innovation desperately. So if we want to have growth beyond 2% per year, Thailand needs to become a much more innovative nation.